Hey, my Shuga Bears, welcome back to my channel, Bougie AF. It's your host, Nicole. It's where I say stay bougie on them. It's me feeding you feminism for the soul. It's my soul food offering. It's where I apply pressure to issues by being critical and logical. Now, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, let's get to the commentary, where I can guarantee you I will be doing too much, because that's just me. And like Sheree said, who's gonna check me, boo? Welcome, Black. You are tuned into the Bougie AF channel, and it's your girl, Nicole. So listen, if this is your first time here, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. So listen, I wanted to do a little something like the thing about me is, right? So the thing about me is like, there's a conversation, that underlining conversation in society and also happened on Clubhouse about bullying, right? So this conversation comes up, and listen, and I've been accused of being a bully before, right? And me and my brother used to jokingly, like, he used to say it to me, like when we were doing our podcast, he used to be like, oh, you were known as the bully. And I used to just laugh it off and just laugh and just thought it was funny, right? But I never really paid too much attention to it. Not until like probably like a year and a half ago, until a girl, not until like a year and a half ago, or it had to be, was my sister pregnant? Yes, my sister was pregnant. It wasn't until like almost like a year and a half ago, I believe. We had a conversation and we were talking, and bullying somehow came up. Through me and my sister's relationships growing up as little kids, she thinks that I was a bully, right? I don't know how, that's not too far-fetched for people to think their older sibling was a bully, and things happen, you guys get into a fight. So my sister's impression of me with her and our relationship was that I was a bully. And you know what? She has her feelings about it, and she's entitled to feel how she feels. Me and my family don't feel that way. And also, and we don't feel that way because, like, when you know the definition of bullying and it just, like, sometimes people think because you have incidents and you have situations with them, they may feel some sort of way, but it's not necessarily bullying. And I don't know how to better explain. You can't, just because you get into it with someone and maybe they win the argument or maybe they win the fight that happened, but the reason y'all got into it was faults on both sides or a misunderstanding. That's not the same thing as saying that you were bullied, right? The outcome that you wanted just didn't happen. And I think that's the hard truth for some people, right? That you have sometimes, like, you may have somebody in your life and like you couldn't get your way with them, or they may have beat you up every time you got in a fight, and that's not necessarily bullying. Because, okay, to me, bullying is like someone who goes out their way on a daily basis or just throughout life to kind of make it harder for somebody else. And that's my for no reason, right? Nothing happened, and they just don't like this person they just don't like this person, right? And it could be something did happen, and they've taken it to the max and decided that their mission is to destroy this person, right? Most definitely, I can see where that is bullying, most definitely. But what I do see in society is that people are taking incidents, people are taking actual situations where they play a part in it, and then try to say, oh, but I'm not winning in the back and forth, and so now I feel bullied, right? I mean, there's a lot of that goes on. Like, even on Clubhouse, like, you'll see people who are some of the worst and the messiest and some of the nastiest to other people. But the minute that they start to receive that type of energy, like, who you playing with? Like, don't play with me. Ain't nothing lost about me. I don't know what the fuck you heard, but I fight back, right? When you start to give them that same type of energy, all of a sudden, because they didn't expect it, or they thought they were that person, right? That someone couldn't check them back. It's, oh my God, she's now bullying me. It don't work like that. It just doesn't work like that. I am the type, you scratch me, I might punch you out. Like, that type of, like, that my response could be a little bit off like that, because there's no chance that I'm gonna ever let a nigga bully me in life. Like, that's just not what's gonna happen. Like, in my face, bully me, like I don't get it. Like, do something to me, bully me. No, I don't get that shit. That shit is gonna be like, and maybe, I don't know. I think sometimes people pick fights and don't know who they're picking with, and I think you don't awake don't poke people, right? I found a lot of times when it comes to Clubhouse that there's a lot of gossiping, right? Men, because they do the best gossiping. I mean, we won't say that, but another day, I always tell you, go where the men are. That's the tea. Like, and that's real life and on social media. The men have the tea. So if you are privileged to sit in those circles or be around men and talk to them, because like I've never had a problem with men. I love men, so I've never had a problem with men and just having conversation or being that girl in conversations. And that's the difference between me and you weak bitches, right? Even being a woman that would roll with men and talk with men, I was never one of those like pick me's. I was never one of those like that's my bro to the point where like I'm willing to fight for my bro no matter what, no matter how wrong. I've never been that girl, right? So I never felt like I had to compromise who I was in terms or go against the grain in terms of other women to be in the company of men. And I think there's a lot of women who don't know how to do that, and so it results to either like their companionship, not even if it's romantic, their companionship in their relationship is based on whether or not they are around because they are ornaments or they're around because for sexual reasons, or they're around because they're willing to 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 do things for men. Ugh. Because that best friendship, when I'm talking about a man, sometimes it's just like a girlfriend without a relationship. You get what I'm saying? Without the sexual part of it. And it's a lot of these women will lay in that role for men, right? Because they want to center men in their life and feel like they're having they're having um healthy relationships with other men, but it's really like you're having boyfriend and girlfriend relationships with somebody that you're not having sex with, which fulfills your need of feeling like you have you're that men like you, right? And that's enough for you, but you're willing to do the most for it, and really be super loyal to them to an extent that it just doesn't even make sense a lot of times, because it's literally you'll be loyal to things that if it was you and another man, you would want someone to be compassionate. You wouldn't want another man to treat you a certain way. But when it comes to the man that you have a friendship loyalty, you're willing to look past that. You got to understand you're not in relationship and friendship loyalty with every man, right? And so that's what I mean when it go against yourself, right? Because essentially what you're doing is going against yourself, because as soon as you turn around and the next man that don't like your vibe or you do try to go against disrespects you, it makes other women feel like, oh, okay, girl, you tried to play that game, and it burnt you. I know that's what it's gonna make me feel like. Well, back to bullying. So I've seen certain people, like once you turn it around on them and once you don't, let them set the parameters of engagement, because you engage a nigga like me for no reason and come at me for no reason and be picking at me for no reason. You don't set the tone for the response afterwards. I don't hear nothing. I don't understand nothing. Oh, childhood trauma. And that's why on my show, I make fun of that shit. Child, yeah, I got that too, girl. This woman who raised me, I never would have made it if it wasn't for this man upstairs. Like, what you want to talk about? Like, I got some too. Right? But I think people want to get into the trauma Olympics and feel like they're more, their response or how they behave is more in line for everything that they went through in life. And I'm just that type of real ass nigga. I don't care. What's up? You want to talk about something? Like, why you do that? Okay. That's why you did that? Okay, but you know why I did that, right? Because you did that, right? It ain't nothing personal over here, but it just got personal when you did something to me. Like, that's the conversation. And a lot of people don't want to have that conversation, because at the end of the day, like, how you come out and just tell somebody that you a fucking hater for no fucking reason, or you want to come out your mouth and tell somebody what you think about some shit that ain't got nothing to do with you. So necessarily you just out here not really minding your motherfucking business, trying to tell me what you think about some shit that ain't got nothing to do with you. So I know we really ain't getting no problem, and I know everything I did in response to what the fuck you did was justified. Because my nigga, you's a fucking hater. Straight like that. Ain't too much talking. Every fucking thing I did is because you did something to me. I didn't understand where it came from. What you do that for? I didn't even know your name. I didn't know we had a problem. And so what you find is that a lot of times people have problems with you and they be doing shit. And then it's like, no, it don't work like that. You didn't state an issue. You didn't come and talk to me. I didn't even know you. Like, woo, 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 woo. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I tell people all the time, like, your feelings and what you think about something don't fucking matter. You know what I'm saying? how something makes you feel, if you never communicate that with the next person, that's not on them to walk around like they know how you feel. And I know people are like, and that's where the emotional intelligence gets brought in, because it is a certain community that really think that through osmosis of just body language and just attitude that you should just know. I don't know nothing, but especially if I'm not in community with you, why the fuck should I know something? Like, if I'm not in your face, if I'm not talking to you, like, I don't like, what that mean? And it get real ebonics talking, like all of that, and it's not no cosplay. Like, that's literally how I feel. That's literally when I'm talking to my brother, I'm like, Nick, I don't understand none of that. Straight like that. That's literally how I feel. So when people try to be slick and try to use a whole bunch of like book shit and um a whole bunch of psychology and all types of stuff like that, or their lifetime stories, you know what I'm saying, made for lifetime movie stories and shit, when they are being held accountable, I promise you it doesn't penetrate me at all. When they even try to do the spiritual manipulation thing, that does nothing to me at all either, because I'm like, I ain't never prayed with you, we ain't never talked like that, I don't know nothing about that. I'll go real atheist on you, because what you won't do is even play with that, right? I feel like even if you just gave your life over, you should let, be in that thing solidly for 5 years. Be in that thing solidly for 5 years before you expect niggas to look at you a little different, because I'ma still look at you like you got the stench on you. Period. Like, that's just me. But that's my thoughts on bullying. Like, I don't think that it's happening I don't think that the people, some people, when they try to take certain situations and turn it around to bullying, that's what it is. Now, what's happening in these schools and with these kids, and what's happening with these kids online, how they're treating each other, most definitely, I most definitely think that most definitely you're being bullied. But I don't necessarily feel like you're being bullied. As an adult, you can be bullied online. I want to say that. And I think sometimes people is like, I don't believe in bullying, but or as an adult, you can be bullied when you are targeted, and there's a group of people, because that's like conspiracy. You're conspiring to, and that's illegal. You're conspiring to make it harder for someone in life. So that's actual crime. So like, if you are getting together with people online and deciding that we're going to either teach someone a lesson, or it's your job to impose a certain type of um, accountability for whatever reasons, yes, you're most definitely bullying that person. But outside of that, no, I don't think that there's any such thing as bullying. Like, exposing people and doxing people most definitely is part of the bullying, right? So if you decided that this person is agent, enemy agent number one for a group of people, yes, most definitely group bullying can happen. Now, do I think one-on-one, where it's fair, me and you going back and forth and all the other stuff, do I think that's bullying? No, because one, I don't have to respond. Two, if it means just not engaging in us, like not talking to each other or being in community, that's not a problem, right? So no, I think it's sometimes where people or nor do I think bullying is you don't like someone's rhetoric and the things that they talk about, and you feel like they touching on your toes, or it feels too close to home, so you're so bothered by it, and you're the one triggered, right? Because that's what we're talking about. You're the one triggered by somebody else's content and all that other stuff, and how they and what they do on their page. No, I don't think that's bullying, because that's a choice. That's an option. You do not have to fucking pull their shit up, right? So nor do I think anybody has to change their messaging for anybody. And so that's why when I see a lot of people who think because I'm a feminist, or I think a certain way, try to bring up certain other people who've built their platforms and have their niche, like Kevin Samuels. And it's so stupid to me that people think like I could possibly ever be triggered by you bringing up somebody else. Is weird. But even because what his messaging is, I don't gotta go tune into that, right? All I gotta care about is if the nigga that I'm interested in finds that to be any type of his gospel, right? That's the only thing I care about. But at the end of the day, I can't control people, what they listen to. Like, it is what it is. People are going to gravitate to who they want to gravitate. There's tons of people with off messaging that is disgusting, that is way worse than Kevin Samuels, okay? The things that you are hearing, and sometimes on like how men are dealing with women and how they're talking on these records and stuff like that, way worse than what Kevin Samuels is saying, right? So, but what we're talking about, impressionable and just haven't had real men in their life, men that are interested in Kevin Samuels' message, because most men that I find that are really solid and really have had great examples and mentors and been around other great men, they're not looking at Kevin Samuels as a leader. They're just not, right? So at the end of the day, like, it's even concerning when you find someone that like looks at him as if though, I'm gonna check in with what Kevin says. I want to see what Kevin says about this. Yeah, that's concerning, but I'm not interested in you. But at the end of the day, that's his way. He get it how he gets it. Get it how he gets it. But I do think that there's a bias, and I think there's a difference. Aren't women are demonized when they sit around and talk about men in such a way. And we see it all the time. We see it on Clubhouse with Pink Pill and K Charles and all these other women who are harassed for their opinions, right? They are super harassed. The men are super intimidated by them, right? They are chaos. They are labeled chaos agents of chaos within the black community. They are ostracized. People think they can say the worst to them. But when men take that same vigor in their messaging and towards women, they don't experience that same type of visceral hate and harassment, right? Right? For some reason, men can't walk away and it's like, okay, well, those just, if a woman subscribes to her, then that ain't my woman. Like, that's literally what you have to do. Like, you literally date people to listen to them and hear what they think, what they like and what they don't like, and see if you can jive with it. And if you can't, you just move the fuck on. You just move on. That ain't your type of woman. But what I don't agree with is that men show up in such their masculinity being so weak that they make it uncomfortable for women that they're not sexually interested in having a place in society and being around. There's no excuse for saying it's acceptable for a man to feel like she just makes me feel some sort of way. Oh, I'm not comfortable with her. No, you need to man the fuck up. Right? Because it's essentially like if I'm going out and I'm in a club and you're bothered by my fucking appearance, like, because I'm here, the problem is you. The problem is you. No, but that's the lack of tolerance we have in our community. That's why we have these bodies dropping. That's why we have so many incidents where we run into each other and a little back and words turn into World War III. And that's us. Our inability to be tolerable of other people. It's us. Right? And so that's why it's so easy to have these low bearing fruit conversations or have conversations about violence and talking about black guns and stuff like that. And we keep it as high level as possible into the wanting to talk about white supremacy, because nobody is going to talk about themselves and want to talk about themselves. Okay, what else did I want to talk about? But no, baby girl, I don't believe in bullying in as loosely as it's being used, especially when everything's a fucking choice. Don't go pull up somebody's shit if you feel triggered by it, and I subscribe to that. So that's why when I be sitting in rooms and be like, I don't want to trigger nobody just because I shoot off a message on Twitter. That's not possibly meaning that I'm triggered. If I hear something I don't want to hear, or it just literally is nonsensical, and I leave, that doesn't mean I'm triggered. I'm doing what it says at the bottom, leave quietly, because I don't want to hear this shit. But that's what I tell people, like, triggers are emotional, and not everything's emotional. Some shit just sound dumb as fuck, and you don't want to hear it because it's like, where do you get this shit from? So I don't believe in bullying in that way. And I also don't believe in people who try to impose their will on other people, right? And I'm not one of those people. Like, I'm comfortable with difference of opinions. I'm comfortable with being around people who don't think and believe the same things that I believe in, right? And I think sometimes we get to thinking that, what works for us would work for everybody else. There's no cookie cutter situations. Even if I can tell you a story that's similar to your story, it's still not the same, right? With that being said, there's just no one right way that, there could be no one right way to respond, especially when you don't know the details and in the ins and out of everything that someone went through, right? And I think a lot of times, and the reason I don't do these relationship conversations, or I don't get on stages and talk about different relationship stuff, because you don't have time to give the details of everything that's going on, and more or less everybody don't want to hear the long details of it. But so it becomes a little hard to have conversations, and then you hear generic responses, right? Or women are always looking for reasons to feel like they have an up on other women, right? So, oh, she went through that, I would never. And like, anybody got time for that dynamics of what's happening in this like weird this weirdness, right? So at the end of the day, I don't like to get in conversations about that, but at the same time, I don't like people imposing their will on me on like how they would have handled things in that type of snobbish type of way. You know what I mean? And you're just like, I don't know how the fuck you will handle anything, right? and that's just that. Like, I've been around so many females. Oh, I would never do that over a man. What you mean you would never do that over me? I would never run down the street behind his car, behind a nigga car either. Like, so we all got us. I would never. You get what I'm saying? So I don't get into those type of games with people, because we start playing I would never. Oh, I'm a win. I would never. I'm a win. I would never. And you can say it is what it is. It has nothing to be with perfect, but that's that thing that happens when you try to impose your will on other people and think that you have the best way of dealing with things, or that your responses are the most grounded and leveled responses in the world, until you got your own chasing a nigga's car like you on the Boondocks ass story out here. You get what I'm saying? And I think sometimes people forget that when they want to be in people's face and trying to tell them how they wouldn't do this and they wouldn't do that. I need to know you before I let you sit in my face and tell me some shit like that. So that's why I stay away from conversations like that. And I really try to stick to topics as much as possible, because it's easy to correct somebody and be like, whoa, okay, we're talking about this. Because people will be having their own motives and be trying to trigger and get responses and trying to set people up. And it's just a crazy world we live on, especially when it comes to Clubhouse. All right, so to our main topic in this conversation. Oh, I'll say this other one for another one. The do unto others. All right, so but our main conversation that I wanted to talk about today was actually this story, and this is where the conservative in me. I am a conservative Democrat, moderate. I'm a conservative, like, and it's so hard to explain. I most definitely try to vote Democratic as much as possible for the Democrats as much as possible, because parents wise, as you grow older and you really get into the politics and learn about bills and stuff like that, parents wise, it's always looked like Democrats have always been, not always, but since the civil rights movement and stuff like that, they, it's not say myth, but they've been plastered the party that represents the black community. And with that has come the luxury of them being able to just not really kind of pay attention to us, and just really having an expectation that we're just going to show up for them, because as, not as savvy and tuned into politics. What we've seen, I think historically over the last like 60, 70 years, is that Republicans have most definitely been on the opposite of things that would be beneficial to us, or would be beneficial to us, but also have a rhetoric of that, I hear a little racism. You hear a little racism in there, like in their tone, and sometimes when they talk about different things, right? Very cold in terms of like what they feel like they may owe the black community in terms of, reparations, right? Basically, like in terms of like what they and then when I say reparations, we know there's a claim out there, but when I mean and acknowledging the struggle of what it really is to be black in America. Like there's some people who are so previously, I think before social media and stuff like that, there was a group of just white people who were just really detached from the reality of what life was for black people in America. So that's why when you have something like a Rodney King happen, that's a look a look inside, right? When you have something as Emmett Till that happened, that was like peeks into what little peeks into what our realities were, right? And the more as technology has advanced, it's blown it off. Like they really get to see it now, right? There's all these names, there's all this footage, so there's no denying that there's a different experience going on. And so I think that's what's making it extremely hard for Republicans to have that same type of tone of ignorance. But I'm sorry, that has made it easy for Republicans to I feel like because we weren't seeing it as much, it made it easier for Republicans to show up and be tone deaf about the reality of in the country. So yeah, I hope I explained that right. But I think if you follow what I'm saying, then you get what I'm trying to say. So this is my conservative side. Like I'm not one of those persons that feel like I'm not going to think and talk in a loop, right? I'm not going to be out here saying stop the violence. I'm not going to be out here saying that we need to fix our communities, but at the same time be like free somebody, and they are notoriously known for tearing our communities apart, right? And I'm not a hard ass to an extent that I'm out here saying that nobody can change or people aren't the same anymore like that. Like I believe in change and I believe people can change, and then that's not what I'm saying. But what I ultimately believe, as we're going to talk about this Kanye and Drake Free Larry Hoover concert budget is reportedly an estimated 10 million. So what we are going to talk about is about accountability and responsibility and the repercussions, and that the fact of the matter is our laws, and if they get it right, and then I'm for if they've gotten it right and the right person's been stamped and the right person is in jail for their crimes, I am for that person being in jail. And that doesn't have a color for me, right? That doesn't have a color. And I think more or less that's what makes me conservative for some people. Um, but at the same time, I just can't be out here talking as if though nonsensical. It would be nonsense. It's nonsensical to me. And I think that's what I've always looked at a lot of people in conversations, and why I've never gotten to a lot of conversations with a lot of people in terms of, not even say because it was never an opportunity. I've always been the person that was the interviewer, which means I ask the questions. So when certain people hear how I talk on videos and hear my thoughts behind things, you never were in a position where there was an exchange of ideas of back and forth or different things coming up for you to know how I felt about things, right? So it's not a she's different, she's not who she says. You got to really think about the dynamics of, like, I mean, what were the circumstances around the relationship, right? If it was always just going out to the club and just having fun and keeping it light and not talking about the politics sides of things or my world views or my views on life, then if you see I say something different on the camera or online, how could you be shocked? Well, you can be shocked, but how could you feel like someone is fake when it's never been a part of your relationship with them? And you have different relationships with different people. And I'm a big proponent of that. I don't think, yeah, I'm a big proponent of that because I don't think you can get 100% I don't think you can get 100%. I think if it was Vanessa Williams and she was talking about, she was talking about divorces and stuff like that, and having to learn that your husband or your significant partner can't be 100% of everything. Like, he can't be your best girlfriend. You know what I'm saying? He can't be the person that, also that loves museums, loves shopping, and loves, just everything that you love, right? Like, nobody can be all of that one thing, right? And then you tend to love people for just those specific things that they fulfill for you, right? And just knowing that to me, this is the appropriate way to meet people where they are, right? And I think when I hear people say that, I'm like, that's not what that means, and that's not how it should be used, right? It's not conforming in society to the lower beings of people. But if you are talking about meeting people where they are, you're talking about, like, intellectually, or maybe, like, not being tone deaf. Like, if you're meeting up with a certain group of people, you go to the bars and the restaurants that can accommodate their budget, right? That's a form of meeting people where they are, right? Or, if on the higher end, you rather, not rather, but you like really high end restaurants, or you like to go mid, whatever. But, you meet people. And that's the appropriate way to do it. I think what I find sometimes in our community, we're taking and copy and pasting. That's my thing. I've been saying that folks will copy and paste a meme, copy and paste a quote, or copy and paste ideology, and you know what I mean, these one-liners, and they just try to apply them everywhere, and that's not one of the places I feel like it's supposed to be applied. All right, so back to the article. Kanye and Drake Free Larry Hoover concert budget is reportedly an estimated $10 million. Now, so I tell you guys all the time, I watch a lot of pop a lot, and I've always watched American Gangsters. I'm very quite I don't know how to put a name on what I want to do. Most definitely, like, you know what I'm saying. Wendy Williams is a what did I say my style is? Because the real Wendy is very raw. But if I had to think about myself, very raw, very we're different. Most definitely. I aspire, so that's why I bring her up. And is it too late to aspire? Is that what folks is that how I should be made to feel? It's too late for me. That is so weird, the messaging as you get older and people try to tell you what you should be appropriately thinking about at this point in your life, and it's just so freaking weird that people think they have the right to do that. And I think you see it a lot, especially in hip hop, when you talk about Nicki Minaj and everyone wanting the next person to be the person that replaced her. And I said, yeah, you got to move her out her spot. And I feel that same way even about an older person in position. Like that conversation about Mary J. Blige and Summer Walker. Summer Walker is super dope for what she does. But to be the next Mary J. Blige, you got to move her out of her position with the accomplishments, right? And unless you're doing that, they ain't no just replacing somebody just based off their age. Like if you ain't showing up like they showing up, like what is you talking about, right? So I think we're not conforming to the younger generation if they're not the best and the brightest. Like look outside this country. We need the breast. I'm sorry. We need the best and the brightest, not the youngest and the dummiest. I don't care what y'all say. I'm not letting no young dummy lead me. Okay? If they're not stepping up with just having it together, that's who it's supposed to be, the best. We're forgetting that part. There's no hand. Nobody stands still and just hand somebody over the crown. And that's why I say, like, we have a generation that thinks somebody's supposed to dim their light to make them feel better. I told you that time I had a bitch asking me like, "What am I wearing to the club?" Like wanting to keep up like we twins. That's not how that goes. Making little comments like, "Oh, did you dressing for?" Like what? I dress because I feel good. Like how about you? Like we have a problem. Nobody has to move like you. Nobody has to make you feel comfortable about your insecurities, especially if it means that they would be going against themselves or like what? But we have people who are not keeping it real with people in that way. Like that's not her problem. That's not her problem. Yep. And when you have a daughter and she's showing up insecurely and she's talking about women in a way that is just, as a woman, you know what insecurity sounds like, right? And if you have your child and your daughter and you start to see her be a hater of other women and talk badly about other girls for no reason, the appropriate response is not to just accept that shit. The appropriate response is to explore that and find out like what's that about, right? Because being able to say, oh, I just don't like that person for no reason. And it's a possibility. You could possibly just not like that person for no reason. But the more you ask someone questions about their dislike for somebody, the more you reveal their insecurity about them. Right? So that's why it's really important that even if I am talking about somebody that I may experience or come across on Clubhouse, it's extremely important for me to be able to literally, clearly put in words what is it that I don't like about that person, or speak to an experience that I've had about that person, right? I don't like people who just like, I just don't like them, right? Now, when you out here putting your ideology and your politics out here and you call yourself a public figure, it is different, right? You are going to have a lot of people who just don't like you because of the things that you put out in the atmosphere. But I'm very, like I said, I'm very aware to make sure I phrase it on why, right? It's not just a random person that gets up and gives their opinion, right? It's someone who's positioned themselves as wanting to be a leader, right? If you want to be a content creator, you are content, right? So it's a little different for you, right? So someone speaking on you is not hating. I'm sorry, I just laughed. Someone speaking on you is not hating. You're content, remember? Like, it's just weird. And so I think there's so much going on. But how do we get there? Let me get back to Larry Hoover. All right, my conservatism. Oh, we were talking about my conservatism. Yeah, so I'm extremely conservative in this way. Like, I really believe in holding people responsible. I don't believe in talking in loops. Free this person, free that person does not make sense when niggas really need to be in jail. And I don't think you can say that and also say stop the violence, because it's just like, yeah, I don't think you can say that, But I also feel like, I don't know, I'll leave that out. Where am I at? Oh, sometimes some of these sites, when you go to them, the ads and shit, it'd be off the hook. Like, it gets in the way. Okay, so we have here Jay Prince out of them people's Houston, Texas. He is the legendary Jay Prince. You want to make sure you give people respect and all. Everything becomes like you're being disrespectful. I don't want to disrespect nobody. So, but I will be facetious and I will call it like it is, and that's just that. I'm never not like, respect has nothing to do with not telling the truth. So I know some people want to think that it does, but it doesn't. All right, so we have Jay Prince, and he is legendary. Actually, he brought one of my top 5 artist to the to the world that we know of, which is Scarface. So most definitely legendary. No thanks. Damn, everything just popping out. All right, all right. It's a race against the clock as construction continues on a massive stage inside the Coliseum in Los Angeles for formerly Kanye West, Free Larry Hoover benefit concert, which special guest Drake on Thursday. TMZ reports a crew consisting of more than 200 people has been working around the clock to complete the largest ever environmental experience. Oh gosh. The event comes with an estimated budget of $10 million, which covers production costs, stage construction, event staff, security, and more. I'm just happy about people making money. You get what I'm saying? Like, I guess, you know what I mean? People are gonna make money off of this, like the workers and stuff like that. Ye and Drake have been reportedly rehearsing at an off-site location, but will hold a dress rehearsal before tomorrow night's show. I'm not watching this, to be completely honest with you. Ye has partnered with Amazon Music, giving fans the opportunity to stream the concert for free through Prime. Kanye and Drake have spent their careers pushing boundaries and defying culture, and were excited to give fans around the world a front row seat to this concert. Tim Henschlaw, head of hip hop and R&B at Amazon Music, said it will also be shown at select IMAX theaters across the United States. Wow, wow, wow. The concert marks a monumental step in the relationship between Drake and Ye. Yes, because that's what this is about. Okay. Who were bonded by their common belief in clemency of Larry Hoover, J. Prince helped Drake realize that the opportunity to come together was bigger than their feud and would ultimately build towards a greater cause. Okay. We have to start with the name Larry Hoover. I think we could start with Assata Shakur too, but I mean, it depends on how your politics and really for the black community you're about. We have to start with the name Larry Hoover. He planted the seed, Jay Prince said in an interview with Billboard. He wanted to see Kanye and Drake come together in the name of peace. His son Larry Jr. was hanging out with Kanye a lot, and of course, Drake is my son. But Hoover planted the seed, and I watered it. Okay. So these gentlemen, Drake and Kanye has a beef, and they've been going back and forth on wax. Jay Prince, the founder of what's it called? Rap-A-Lot Records. Legendary brought them people, Ghetto Boys out of Houston. Really put Houston hip hop, rap on the scene. Like he's legendary, known for that. Also known for a lot of alleged notorious and nefarious things in society. Like, I'm trying to think how I would word it. I'll word it like this because Drake has worded it like that. Drake does talk about mob ties and having people. You know what I'm saying? And if you know anything about mob culture and stuff like that, the like the families and just having like gangster ties. I say that to say I'm not calling anybody a gangster, but what I will say is that Drake talks about having mob ties, and Jay Prince is most definitely his street person. That's what we'll say. His connection to the street is Jay Prince, and that's how we're gonna leave that. Right? So you have Drake and Kanye who are beefing, and what's his name? Larry Hoover is a notorious gang member. Created the I think it's the Gangster Disciples. We're gonna pull it up. Don't worry. I'm gonna get correct. I didn't know I was gonna go here with this, but I'm gonna go. So Larry Hoover is in jail, and I think he's in there for 6 consecutive life sentences. So Jay Prince has decided, and if you want to draw parallels to is Larry Hoover on the same level and Jay Prince on the same level of each other in terms of like who they are to the hood and to stuff like that to the community, yes, they are on the same level. We will say that. So Larry Hoover is in jail, rightfully so, for all that he has done when he was out. Right now, I'm pretty sure this elderly man who's 71 years old is most definitely contrite about the things that he's done. And it says that he probably, I haven't read it yet, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna find it when I do pull it up. That he would like to come out and make amends to and fix the community that he came from for the crimes that he has committed. It's something that a lot of them do get out and want to give back to the community in that way, because they really see how they played a part in everything and the destruction of their community. And I think that's commendable. And I think I think there's nothing wrong with that goal. Like, there's really, really nothing wrong with that. I do think expectations have to be reasonable. And I think, you have to be careful about the message you send about things. And that's why this rubs me the wrong way. And whereas though that may, and I'm pretty sure. I mean, that's what you would have to say for them to let you out. Like, right, for real. Like, there's no way. Like, I don't even need to go look that up. Like, that's what you need to say for a parole board or for anybody to feel or pick up your cause and want to let you out. So there's no need to look up that, right? You're not gonna say the opposite of that, because who the fuck would let you out if you said the opposite of that, right? With that being said, there's nothing wrong with wanting to get out. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with believing that he is who he said. But what is wrong is the fact that there's these gentlemen who want to spend $10 million to get this man out. And publicly, the message that we want to send that we're okay if you do some time. But it just sends a bad message. I can't get behind this and say that it just sends a bad message. The expectation, I have no expectation that, he's going to do a lot of good if he gets out, Larry Hoover, and, he's probably going to change. He's probably going to be impactful for some people, right? But the problem is Chicago is so freaking big. It's not going to stop. It is what it is. He's not, I'm not going to say it's not, because I don't believe, like, anything is possible. I want to say that. He's not going to be able to stop it, right? And so I think to have that expectation, or to think that it would be that much of an impact, I think it's fucked up. Like, people have died. A lot of people have died. A lot and lots and lots of people have died behind his creation. And I think when you do the crime, you must do the time in this case. Like, they didn't get the wrong person, right? If I know about this man and he's been bragged about for his prowess of being a notorious gang member, then this is not the same thing of the man who just spent 41 years in jail for being accused of rape from a white woman. Like, this is not the same thing. And I hate that we keep on, like, kind of uphold certain things and glamorize certain things as if though that's the same messaging, and that's not that. This is not Emmett Till. You get what I'm saying? Like, these are not the same situations. These are not social injustices, right? This is not a social injustice that this man is spending the rest of his life in jail. But to me, Assata Shakur in Cuba most definitely is a part of the social injustice. It's most definitely a part of the oppression, most definitely a part of the police brutality. That's something to stand $10 million down for. That's something. But this is not something to stand for. And that's basically what I'm saying. This is not something to stand for. This is not something to gather around the TV. This is not it. And I'm pretty sure this man is going to make peace with everything he did and his family and all the other stuff. But this is not it. And I'm not going to sit up here and act like this is a part of my blackness to pull up. Like, this is it. This ain't it. The messaging is all wrong. You got Kanye willing to ride with Trump and put misinformation out and like use his platform in such ways. Like, no, this is not it. So I'm sorry. Let me pull it up a little bit so that you guys can get an idea about who Larry Hoover is, because at the end of the day, it is what it is. You do the crime, you should be in jail. I'm tired of saying, rest in peace to this person and that person and all this other stuff. And we sitting here acting like motherfuckers ain't the reason for this shit. Like, come on now. Like, that's weird. As you can see on the screen, Larry, let me make it a little bigger. I don't really even feel like going into all of it. But niggas know who this nigga is. Larry Hoover is an American gang leader, okay? Co-founder of the Chicago street gang, Gangster Disciples. Hoover is serving 6 life sentences at the ADX Florence prison in Florence, Colorado. Born November 30th, 1950, age 71 in Jackson, Mississippi. Okay? I want to see something like I want to something real short. Yeah, I mean, you see all these videos and people like, and that's the thing is like we got to call things what it is. Like we have all these people in support of it, and it just is what it is. Let me say, I want something real quick. Yeah, I don't like shit. I don't like mainstream shit or shit that like is supposed to appear as some pro black shit because this ain't no pro black shit. And you know, at the end of the day, I know black people think our message should sound a certain way. No, and I know. See, and the reason why I'm struggling on pulling something up because again, who is Larry Hoover? Hip Hop Wire. Let me see if they keep it real. Hold on one second. All right, so find out more about the incarcerated gang leader who has become an influential figure in the Chicago community with a mixed history. Influential, okay. The long running feud between Drake and Kanye because rap beef is on the same level as what he was out here doing. Like, that's weird. Like, this is all weird. I'm sorry. This is all weird. So, we're supposed to think or feel like this is bringing peace, you know, to the community, right? But we're only like peace, like you mean the rap community between these rich niggas? Like, is that what we talking about? This is not this is not this is not peace to the hood. This is not peace in Chicago. This is not gonna help peace. Come on, niggas, y'all are crazy. The long running feud between Drake and Kanye has apparently come to a close, and it appears there's bigger missions at hand as both are committed to performing at a benefit concert to help free Larry Hoover from prison. Okay. I tell you, they always have a packaging when they trying to do some bullshit. Right? We supposed to be so enthralled about fucking Drake and fucking Kanye, having peace, peace, that we supposed to at the same time jump on board for free and a fucking killer. Like, what the fuck? The two rap icons appeared at Dave Chappelle's concert in Toronto recently to publicly end their feud, and it was then revealed that the two will appear at a concert slated for December 9th, which is meant to aid efforts to get the life sentence of Larry Hoover commuted. Jay Prince broke the news in a post on Instagram showing him alongside Drake and Kanye. Oh my God, Kanye West. But there are those who will ask, who is Larry Hoover and why is there a push to get him free? To the federal government, nigga, to the people, to the people, to the people. See, this is the bullshit. Already 4 lines in to the federal government, as if though it's how they feel. That's how they feel over there. That ain't how we feel over here. No, no, no. Nigga, this I feel how they feel. So what? I feel how they feel. I don't know what y'all talking about. I feel how they feel. Y'all niggas is crazy. To the federal government, Larry Hoover is a 70-year-old notorious criminal, and to me too. Notorious. See, at least they're using the right words. Okay, okay, all right. So we're good. They're using the right words. I'm just happy to hit 70. I'm sorry. I see. I was expecting these is a 70-year-old senior citizen, former gang member. Like I was expecting them not to keep it real. 70-year-old notorious criminal known as King Larry. Okay. The head and co-founder of the Black Gangster Disciples Nation that grew out of Chicago, Illinois, to be a criminal enterprise that spread throughout the Midwest and the rest of the country. Okay, so it spread to like places like Memphis, Tennessee, Chicago, Indiana. Like it spread like the gang that spread throughout the Midwest and the rest of the country. To many others, including Kanye West, Hoover is someone who has found redemption behind bars, dedicating his life to helping those in his organization and those in Chicago and elsewhere better themselves through education and denouncing violence. Well, I'm just confused. Can he just not denounce the violence from where he's at? I'm just confused. I'm what part of okay, cuz he has been an inspiration to Kanye, right? Kanye. So to many others, including Kanye, to many who's these many others? I'm just confused. To many others, including Kanye West, outside of his family, because I mean he's gonna always be who he is to them. Like you can't change that. But who like society feels like it's missing him. I'm confused. To many others, including Kanye West, Hoover is someone who has found redemption. Okay, because he feels like, okay, so now we're supposed to be in religious community and thought mindset with Kanye's about what redemption is and all the other stuff. Okay, behind bars, dedicating his life to helping those in his organization, dedicating his life to helping former gang members. I'm pretty sure there's tons of organizations in the community that can do the same thing, and those in Chicago and else. But I mean, I'm pretty sure they're trying to do the same thing, and the violence is still happening. Organization and those in Chicago and elsewhere better themselves through education and denouncing violence. And we are all out here denouncing violence and saying get some education. We're all doing that. Okay. Larry Hoover was born in Jackson, Mississippi on November 30th, 1950. He and his family moved to Chicago when Hoover was 4 years old. He got into the street life at age 13, joining up with the Supreme Gangsters crew and rising through their ranks to obtain a role of leadership. In 1969, he'd ally himself with another rival, David Barksdale, and his crew to form the Black Gangster Disciple Nation. Hoover and the Gangster Disciples would dominate the south side of Chicago, but in 1973, he and another member were charged with the murder of a dealer named William Young, who was reportedly stealing from them. Hoover and the other suspects would receive a sentence of 150 to 200 years serving time in the Statesville Correctional Facility. In 1974, Hoover assumed the role of leader after Barksdale died from injuries sustained in an earlier shooting. Wait, let me go back some here. They formed the game in 19. They formed the gang in 1969. By 1973, they commit this murder. Were charged with murder of a dealer named William Young, who was reportedly stealing from them, because killing him was the thing to do. I mean, that's the appropriate response, of course, because that's the appropriate response for stealing is killing him. But the appropriate response to you killing him is not the 6 consecutive life sentencing. That's not the appropriate response. But the appropriate response for you was the killing of him. Okay, I mean, just okay. Let me stop. Okay. Hoover and the other suspects would receive a sentence of 150 years to 200 years serving time in the Statesville Correctional Facility. In 1974, Hoover assumed the role of leader after Barksdale died from injuries sustained in an earlier shooting. He oversaw the expansion of the Gangster Disciples outside of prison. Wait. That's what, y'all, that's why I went back. Because I was like, okay, maybe they was telling us why he is in jail. And they were going to then jump to, like, what he actually did. But no, they actually told us, like, he literally went to jail early on in 1973 and 74. Like, in 1974. And from there, he became the leader of the gang. Hoover assumed the role of leader after Barksdale died from injuries sustained in an earlier shooting. He oversaw the expansion of the Gangster Disciple outside of the prison and in Statesville, compelling the warden's office to look to him as someone who could help quell violence in the institution. Hoover began to instill reforms in the organization, even renouncing violence in 1993, which helped him gain popularity back in Chicago as they supported community rebuilding and peaceful protests. He even stated that GD now stood for growth and development and helped create a music label and nonprofit organization that helped register voters. Hoover also mandated that every member get an education and learn a trade in order to be affiliated. But in 1995, Hoover was indicted on charges of continuing to run a criminal enterprise after a 17-year investigation using wiretaps and is now serving his sentence in federal supermax prison facility in Colorado. This is a 70-year-old man in the twilight of his years and has a serious medical complication and is seeking release to finally be with his wife, children, and grandchildren after nearly 50 years of separation. Hoover's attorney, Justin Moore, stated in 2018 as Hoover sought to be freed under the First Step Act, which allows those incarcerated for charges related to crack cocaine distribution to challenge their sentence. Hell to the motherfucking no. Hell to the motherfucking no, no, no. Hell to the motherfucking no. And let me tell you, ooh, there was so much there. Ooh. And I need, let me clear my throat. I'm going to take 10 minutes, go over this last paragraph, and we done, okay? Because literally, what did I say to y'all before I pulled this up? I said there's only certain things that you can say to make these people want to release you, right? And one of those things is, of course, you're going to denounce violence. Of course, you're going to talk about education. Of course, you're going to talk about doing good in your community. Of course, you're going to talk about your past sins being wrong, and you just didn't know better. You would have did better. It would have been. You're going to say all them things, right? And so in 1973 and 1974, he said all of them things, right? And so what he ended up doing is, kind of manipulating, okay? And anytime that you have somebody who can be a leader and kind of be that person, a spokesperson, or, in gangs, or even if it's a business, Fortune 501 company, they have a different skill set. So they are they are aware of manipulation and how to be manipulative. And once they see that they can have an influence, it just is what it is. That's something that I feel like innately anybody in position to lead or have been a leader know that they have the power to do. And that's meaning like, yeah, most definitely. You can look at it on the negative side. You can look at it on the positive side, right? Because as a good manager, you're going to think of creative ways to motivate people. Like it can be flipped. It just is what it is. And you got to understand the duality of manipulation. And like, it's not always negative. It just is what it is. So with that being said, he knows the art of manipulation, and he knows the good and bad side of the art of manipulation. So going to prison in 1973 and 74 and being able to appear, right, as that person who believes in giving back and doing for the community and all this other stuff, he knew to go to prison and to appear that way. That bought him favor with wardens and stuff like that, and recognition, to the point where he was then being recognized for his work that he was doing in the community, because he made sure to go to prison and appear. And it seems as though, through still communicating to people in the community, that he was trying to quell the violence, and he was trying not to be to be the solution, and be. I'm sorry, y'all. He was trying. Oh, he's sneaky. He was trying to he was trying to appear that he was trying to be a part of the solution, not a part of the problem, right? And he did that he did it for 17 years. And so what this article is literally saying is that for 17 years, from the very beginning of when he was in prison, he had been conning. He had been manipulating everybody, and he was actually still running the game. In 95, they figured out he was still running the game. From 1974 to 1975, because he was in here talking like the Charmin of positivity, peace, and I denounce my old ways. Like in there trying to act like the wise old man and trying to help the younger gangsters. And all the time, he their leader. Get the fuck out of here. I don't know who this content's for, but it ain't. Listen. If for 17 years you can put on a facade, I'm sorry. It just is what it is. Now, why are we having a concert? I'm confused. I'm really confused. All right, let me finish reading this. Using wiretaps and is now serving his sentence in a federal supermax prison facility in Colorado. This is a 70-year-old man, and in the twilight of his years, who has a serious medical complication, is seeking release to finally be with his wife and children. There's what's his name? Who the man you shot? You shot William Young. He probably didn't even have no kids. He made it if I had a wife, kids, and a mother and father, a sister and brother, and cousins and nieces and nephews. He had them too, and he can't go home to them. Children after nearly 50 years of separation, Hoover's attorney, Justin Moore, stated in 2018 as Hoover sought to be freed under the First Step Act. This is the last part I wanted to get, and that's why I'm reading it again. Hoover sought to be freed under the First Step Act, which allows those incarcerated for charges related to crack cocaine distribution to challenge their sentence. And now, listen, let me tell you something. Don't let these people out here play on you, okay? And I don't know who Justin Moore is, and I still believe in the First Step Act, right? But I do not believe in the First Step Act if your crime is associated with they can link actual violent crimes to you that has resulted in death. No, baby. That's not what that's for. I wouldn't support it in that way. Now, there is a lot of, because of that crime bill, most definitely they were handing out prison sentences like it was candy. You get 30 years easy for something like that. Now, if we were talking about something like that in terms of the First Step Act of over sentencing too harsh or something, most definitely, and it was non-violent, most definitely, I'm there for it. But that's not what the case is here, and the way that is phrased is to make you think that is just to do with crack related, like him. They're using something that is just for crack, just for distributing distributing drugs, but that's not for this doesn't. The Step Act doesn't for violent criminals. That does not. That doesn't do that for that. No, I don't like that at all. I don't like that at all. I don't like that for us. I don't like how they try to phrase this for us, y'all. They were trying to be really sneaky. You know what I mean? I mean, in terms of like what Kanye West and Jay Prince is how they're trying to present this. I don't like it at all. Kanye has been open about his support of Hoover's release. He sat down with former President Donald Trump in 2018. Oh, okay. The man you supported. Okay. To ask him to commute his sentence. In his latest album, Donda, he included recorded messages by Larry Hoover Jr., Hoover's son, on Jesus Lord and Jesus Lord Part 2. Those messages point out the flaws of the American justice system and talk about the effects of his father's imprisonment on him and his family. William Young is not home with his family. Unless we're talking about the effects of the absence of William Young and probably the possibility of him even leaving a legacy with his family, not even possible. I don't give a fuck about Larry Hoover Jr. and the effects of his father not being there. Like, this is so insensitive to all the people who've lost lives behind the thing that he created, which was this gang. And the things that he was doing in these streets, right? Because this article didn't have time for concise reasons to go into the actual activity outside of just the killing of William Young that got him in prison. Now, a lot of years they gave him for that, but I'm pretty sure what we know about our judicial system, it is fucked up. They gave him all those years because they didn't get him on anything else. So it was just most definitely a way to get him off the street. But as in society, I mean, not in society, but we know the effects and we know what he was out there doing. So to me, the punishment fits the crime. The punishment fits. Like, at the end of the day, the punishment fits. And he's probably a great man. He's probably turned into a great man, but he is where he's supposed to be for me. Larry Hoover, son, Jesus Lord Part 2. Those messages point out the flaws of the American justice system and talk about the effects of his father's imprisonment on him and his family. That is so, who cares? On his recent Drink Champs podcast appearance, Yee said, "I got involved because all my ninjas is GD." So he said he got involved because all his peoples is GD. So meaning, like, the gangs is really big in Chicago. Like, you can't be from a family in Chicago and not have, like, it's literally impossible. Like, it feels like, because, yeah, all the stories I see from people, this person's family is in this, and, like, it's really big. So I don't know, but what does that mean? Like, I got involved because all my ninjas is GDs. Like, that's not the same thing that says that I got involved because I believe in what they're doing. That's not to say I got involved because it's for the betterment of the community. I got involved because it's the right things to do. It's literally saying I got involved because of my loyalty to the people in my life, right? And even if it's part of the dysfunction, even if it's part of the problem, I'm going to use my platform and use the weight behind my name to set someone free. And even if it's not right, even if they deserve what they're getting. So that's literally what that is saying. Uh, when the scenes imploring, when asked about his efforts by host Nori and DJ FN, Larry Hoover Jr. had also been behind the scenes imploring both Ye and Drake to put their differences aside along with Jay Prince to make the concert happen. So, like, I guess because we're going to have rap peace, that's the same thing. So, we have to have a concert. And while we're talking about peace, we might as well talk about bringing Larry Hoover home. Is that what we think we're doing here? I don't know. Yeah, this is my conservative side. This is my, like, bullshit niggas. Y'all on some bullshit side. I mean, it just is what it is. This article was found at Hip Hop Wire. The other article was at Complex. Yeah, you gotta miss me with this. Like, I'm not here for the free somebody if they're doing wrong and the punishment correctly fits and we got the right person. I don't know what people want. I really don't know what people want. I don't. As we sit back and look at Clarence, what's his name? Clarence Avant, and the killing of his wife Jacqueline Avant and their home in Beverly Hills and it being a black person, niggas gotta go to jail. Like, what are we talking about? And niggas gotta go to jail for a really long time sometimes. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? Larry Hoover Jr. missing his father for like, because of things that he did. Like, what are we talking about? William Young's family misses him too. So shout out William Young and his family, and all the families that have lost people to gang violence, that weren't in these streets, that weren't part of the problem, that were minding their business. Because that's what happens when you mind your business too sometimes, right? You can get caught up minding your business. But shout out to them. Like, those are the people who will get my compassion. Those are the people who get my empathy, right? And something could be said about William Young. You were in the game too, but did the punishment meet the crime? No. That was just stealing. You don't do business with people who steal from you anymore. You could have ran him out the hood. Made him uncomfortable. But we make motherfuckers uncomfortable for less. No, that's not how that goes. So yeah, 6 life sentences, and you that nigga. So you all right? You in there, King, like King Larry. All right, so y'all know what to do. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I am on the Instagram as BougieAF_ish. You can also check me out on Twitter at I am _Bougie_AF. Like, comment, and subscribe. And if you follow me on there from here, just let me know. I'll follow you back. Let's build our community. And I am out. Oh, wait, before I'm out, I can't forget my saying. Don't forget, we keep it bougie. We keep it bougie as F. I inspire. We keep it posh. All those dope things. And yeah, y'all keep it black. And I'm out.